Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stretford, Paddock. Happy Valentine's Day. And on a day of love, Jack Grealish would love to come to United. That was a terrible intro, that. Should have rehearsed that one beforehand, shouldn't I? Anyway, I'm just going to get straight into it. Jack Grealish, at the Express and the Metro are both saying that Grealish has told friends that he does want to come to United. So, is that the writing on the wall there? There's got to be something in that, surely, if his mates are coming out and saying it, if he's telling them privately. Personally, I think there probably is something in this. I think Grealish is the type of player that would want to come to United. I think he fits the profile that Solskjaer is going for. He can play in that midfield role. There's a midfielder I'm going to get on into a bit. In a bit. I can't talk today. There's a Paul Pogba I'm going to get onto in a bit. And Jack Grealish, for me, is going to be one of those players who's going to come in and probably fill that void because, he is that creative player from the midfield to the attack. He can really link a midfield together. He can play all along the front three. We've seen it for Villa that he's played in the 10. He's played off the left. He is a very good player this season, especially. He's always been that sort of nippy player that, has always been touted for bigger things. I remember Tottenham were after him for a few years. Never really came off there. I feel that this year, Jack Grealish probably is time. It is time for him to probably get that step up. Villa don't look good. They look like they're probably going to be going down. Or if they're not going to go down, they're going to be really low in the Premier League. And Jack Grealish seems to sort of be that player that needs that step up naturally to get out of there. He needs a bigger club, basically. He's too good to go down, so to speak. So the Express and the Metro are both saying that Jack Grealish has told his mates that he does want to come to United. And the MEN as well reported that he does have a £45 million release clause. Now, to United, that's pocket change. So, as far as I'm concerned, I feel that United just need to get this done. United need to get it done now. If the player said that he wants to come, there's a £45 million release clause. The player's happy with coming. Both clubs are happy with it. They're going to get a good fee for a player that they don't really want to let go. £45 million, especially to a club who's going to go down, along with parachute payments. That's enough there for a rebuild of a squad. You're looking at £150 million plus. Now, for a team that's probably going to get decimated by teams that are going to come in, trying to poach all their best players, I think the £45 million fee for a player who's gone down can't be that bad. I mean, you look at players who've done that before for other teams. You look at like Jorginho Wijnaldum at Liverpool, who's poached off Newcastle. And look at him now. He's Champions League winner. He seems to be doing well for himself over there. So why can't we do a bit of that? We don't always have to buy the £90 million player, the £120 million player. Sometimes you just got to look at what you've got around you and go, do you know what? He's pretty good. He'll do a shift for us in midfield. Why not? Let's go and get him. Jack Grealish, for me, I think he will come to United. The papers all seem to be saying the right things. He doesn't really seem to be quelling any rumours, so to speak. His agent's not really come out and spoke about it. I feel like he fits the profile. I think Solskjaer would like him. Everything's all lining up pretty well. I think Jack Grealish will be here this time next year. So moving on quickly into Erling Haaland. Yes, I know that seems to have been like weeks ago since we spoke about Erling Haaland, and it is because January transfer window was pretty much dominated by Erling Haaland. Where's he going to go? Who's he going to go to? He had every club in Europe after him, and he ended up going to probably the best one in terms of hindsight for him, really, in Borussia Dortmund. They are a selling club, so don't expect Haaland there in the next 2 years. He'll probably be going to one of the other clubs that were after him whilst he was at Red Bull Salzburg. But this time, Erling Haaland has come out slamming reports about wage being a determining factor in his transfer. Now, I do find it a bit bizarre why he's had to come out and talk about this. He's doing so well at Dortmund. Why does he need to talk about what happened, last month in terms of why didn't he go to United? Why didn't he go to Madrid? Why didn't he go to Bayern Munich? Why did he go to Dortmund? And basically, he's come out and said that it's comical, is the word that he used, to put it politely, that he's had to explain himself. He said, they'll have to explain it to me if they meet me. It's not my focus whatsoever. It's kind of comical that I get that label. All the people closest to me know that I'm not the kind of person that I am. So Haaland's obviously come out, had to say this statement. Now, I don't question if Haaland is a money-hungry player. People travel to other clubs for all different needs, whether it be to play in Europe, whether it's to, better themselves at a better side, or financially. I won't question Haaland on that. I do think that he is a good player, and I think that he's kind of got the right mindset for that. The person who I do question, though, is his agent, Mino Raiola, who we all know he's got only one thing on his mind, and that's money. Look at the commissions that he takes. It's just typical of what you need for a player like Haaland, where you've got a player who probably might not be so interested in money, but then you add Raiola to the mix, and it can just take anything. So, United were tracking Raiola. Haaland played under Ollie at Molde, but a deal never got really going because, well, things never got set in motion because Raiola, he had other interests as well with players at United that he wasn't too happy with and the situation they were with. So why was he going to broker a deal unless he got a massive commission and his client got an enormous fee? So Haaland's come out and said none of that's true. Personally, I think that it probably was true in terms of Haaland. Or I think Raiola got to Haaland and said, no, United are paying Sanchez $250,000 a week, probably more. United are paying him 300 bag a week. United are paying Phil Jones 120 bag a week. What do you mean they're only offering you 50 grand? You go in there, you want 400,000 a week now. You want 300,000 now. And he's probably just got into him and just said it because, if I'm being honest with you, that's the sort of player the person that Raiola is. Ferguson said years ago he had the hindsight to say that I'd never want to deal with him again. And you look at deals like all the stuff that happened with Pogba. You look at stuff that's happened with every other player. And, well, Pogba's sort of the main one, really. It just seems to be a mouthpiece for Paul Pogba. And Pogba's not doing great in terms of getting on the side of United fans at the moment. So you can't really do much right, Raiola, for United at the moment. So, yeah, Erling Haaland, he probably scuppered a deal that could have happened at United. What do I want from Greggs? I would love from Greggs. I would love a chicken bake.
Everyone's getting sausage and bacon.
We'll get a sausage and bacon then. Didn't know it was breakfast time. Ketchup, please, yeah. Thank you. That's my Greggs order. Anyway, Erling Haaland. I wonder what put in the comments. What's Erling Haaland's order from Greggs? Is he? I don't know. I feel like he'd be a vegan steak bake weirdo or something like that. But as long as he gets an orange Lucozade, then he's all right in my mind. Anyway, Erling Haaland. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, in a sliding door scenario, I would have liked to have seen Haaland at United if he would have had not a shit of an agent and someone actually competent who would try to look out for his career. I feel like United probably would have been a good idea for him. Martial is not coming under great... he's not having great performances at the moment, coming under a bit of flack. And it's kind of justified. I don't really think he is a number 9. You look at Haaland and he's absolutely dominating over there in Dortmund. I mean, he didn't score in his last outing. And it was like, everyone was on Twitter like, oh my God, he's not scored. And when you've got players who just score every now and then, it's like, oh my God, he has scored. So that tells you the type of player that he is. It's a shame though, but like I said at the start of the Haaland piece, Dortmund has been and always will be a feeder club for the bigger sides. They're just basically a reserve team. It's like Bayern Munich 2 with a fancy name and a big yellow wall. But other than that, yeah, Erling Haaland, Bayern Munich player in the next 3 years. Hopefully a Man United player, though, in that time. So now we're going to come on to our last player. This is an out. And it's the same player that seems to be on everyone's lips whenever we talk about players leaving Old Trafford, and it is Paul Pogba yet again. Pogba basically wants to go back to Juventus through the mouthpiece of that man I mentioned before, Mino Raiola, because he has no balls to come out and say it himself. Paul Pogba just basically wants to go back to Italy. He's fed up at United. He said that he's not been promised what he signed up for, which you can kind of understand because Woodward and the Glazers have sort of murdered the club in terms of like where we should be and where Pogba was at when he first joined United, winning 3 trophies right off the bat, and it just seems to have gone downhill from there. Sky, Kabe Solikov Sky was saying that it is inevitable that even last season Pogba said that he wanted a new challenge elsewhere. So you can't really ground the player after that when you have had a turbulent season on and off the pitch. And, it's just all these factors have all seemed to add up. Pogba's just had enough. And it's just as simple as that. You just got to accept it. A player wants to move on, and you've got to get rid of him. Pogba, life without Pogba probably isn't going to be as bad as it was once feared, because we've just signed Bruno Fernandes, who I think personally is going to be Pogba's direct replacement. And the fact that we bought him now actually shows some level of competency from the board, because they've actually signed a player preemptively knowing that another player is probably going to be going out the door. I mean, you look at players that we haven't replaced. Lukaku, Herrera, Fellaini, I could go on. We've not even touched the base at signing players like that yet. But Fernandes has come in, and he can play the 10, I get that. But for me, I think he's just a direct Pogba replacement, especially where he's been playing in Sporting Lisbon this season. And, a couple of weeks ago, we'd be shitting ourselves going, oh my God, who's going to replace Pogba? How do you replace Pogba? I mean, I'm not doubting that Pogba is a world-class player. I never will doubt that for a second. But he's not been world-class enough for United. And it's just one of them where you go, both sides just had enough. It's just not worked out. Just cut your losses. Just get rid. Stick a pin in it and go move on. We'll buy a new player. We'll buy 2 new players. Could get Grealish and we could get Maddison for all I care. So you got Grealish, Maddison. Would you rather have Grealish, Maddison, Fernandes, or a disgruntled Paul Pogba? It's as simple as that. It boils down to that. Not only are you going to get squad depth, you're going to get players who are new. You're going to get players who are, like Pogba was in that first season. And you're just going to get players that we just need, quite frankly. Because we can't keep playing the way we're playing at the moment without reinforcements coming in. We need to have it. As simple as that. And with Pogba going, you've seen how bad we've played without Pogba. We've missed a creative hub in the midfield. And United need that. But for me, Paul Pogba isn't the answer anymore because he's just burnt. His bridges are burnt. There's a disconnect between him. There's a disconnect between the fans. He just doesn't want to be here. And the sooner that you realise that Paul Pogba doesn't want to play for Manchester United, the easier it'll be when he leaves, the easier it'll be to, I already have replaced him. But, it's just one of them where you go, just got to cut your losses. Move on. Anyway, let's look at the comments. Here comes the Pogba hate. Yeah, it's not hate. It's just true. We've been seeing him now for the last 4 years, and can you name a standout performance other than City away from him where he dragged us through a game? I can't. I understand that Paul Pogba has probably got the biggest expectation of any midfielder, probably in Europe. But he just doesn't want to be here. It's simple as that. He can put a great performance in, but he doesn't hide the fact that he would much rather be putting in a good performance for Juventus than he does for Manchester United. And it's as simple as that. As long as the Pogba funds are used to buy other options in midfield and other areas, then I'll book him a flight now. Spot on. It's absolutely, it boils down to that. Would you rather get rid of Pogba and invest in number 10s who could replace the Lingards and the Pereiras of the world? And, we could add to the squad. You've got to take a cut to sort of go forward. It's sort of like a 1 step back, 2 step forward scenario. You look at Coutinho at Liverpool, got rid of him, and they was like, oh, God, that's their Pogba going. That's our best player. That's our most creative player. They bought they bought Alisson, and they bought Van Dijk. Now, I'm not being funny. Would you rather take the hit in midfield and invest in somewhere that you absolutely need reinforcements? Or would you rather keep a player that is disgruntled, don't really want to be there, but, he's good and he scores a few worldies every now and then? It boils down to that. This is what I'm pretty much simple at. Europa League final. Yeah, Europa League final, I could guess, yeah. Deflected goal. But this is what I mean. You got to cherry pick his performances. He's not one of those players where you go, stand out over a course of a season. He's been fantastic. He had that Ollie season where he come in and granted he scored a hell of a lot of goals and he got a hell of a lot of assists and he had his best season ever and he was probably the best midfielder in Europe. But still, you questioned what he did in the first half of the season under Jose and you went, something's not right. That was when he come out and Mourinho, that was Mourinho at the time. I will admit, I fell into the trap that Mourinho just doesn't like him. He wants to beat United, but Mourinho sort of ruined it for him. So as far as I was concerned, it was a Mourinho problem, but now that I've seen that Ollie's come in and that he loved Ollie at the time, and now that he just doesn't want to be here, it's simple as that. It's like Lukaku. Lukaku was very open about it in an interview recently and said, in March, I just don't want to be here. And Ollie said, right, if you don't want to be here, then, we'll find you a club and you can go. No hard feelings between either or, I don't think. I don't really think Lukaku's that bothered about leaving United. I don't think Ollie was that bothered about him leaving United either. I feel there's a lot of stuff in the media been made out about the two. But I just think that between the two of them, it was just this sort of mutual understanding that he just didn't want to be there. So it's as simple as that. We're shy. If he played for us, he'd be like Messi to the Irish. I'm guessing that's about Grealish, who is English and Irish. But yeah, I kind of do understand what you mean. It's kind of like the Ashley Young thing, isn't it? Like big fish, small pond. Is it worth the risk? I think it's worth the risk. I feel like Grealish has sort of justified a move. I mean, Spurs were after him for a reason those years ago. And Grealish has just sort of, gone from strength to strength to strength. And I feel that he's dragged a Villa side who are pretty average in the way that they've been in the Premier League this season through, quite a few games. He's been their linchpin. He's been their best player. It's as simple as that. If Grealish plays, Villa's got half a chance of winning. If he doesn't play, you go happy days. You look at the goal he scored at Old Trafford, for example. I mean, was it a cross? Was it a shot? I don't know. But he still went in because that's the sort of player he is. He's a very, very talented player, and that's what you need at United because, like I said, if you get rid of Pogba, a huge talent in that, you can't just leave a void. You need to replace him. Grealish, Maddison, all these names that keep on jumping out of him. McTominay isn't a standout player. Average at best, but you want to question Pogba. Haha. Never said McTominay was a standout player. I don't think I've said McTominay in this entire video, mate, but I never said that McTominay is a standout player. And he's average at best, but I question Pogba. The thing is, McTominay doesn't play the same role that Pogba does. McTominay is a defensive midfielder who is completely different in his entire skill set and his entire talent bed in every way, shape, and form to Paul Pogba. You cannot compare the two. I remember when they played Sevilla and they dropped Pogba and McTominay was in, and there was this whole comparison going on, and I was like, it's two totally different players. Would you compare Matic and Pereira? Would you compare Juan Mata and, I don't know, Michael Carrick? You don't, because they're two totally different players. It's as simple as that. I don't believe that at all. Let's see some more comments. At what point has Pogba justified his price tag? He's skated on by 6 out of 10s at best. He's never looked the same player everyone raved about at Juve. Spot on. At Juve, he was World Player of the Year. But the one thing as well you've got to remember with Pogba at Juve was that, he had world-class talent around him. He's never had that at United. Was he promised that at United? I think he was probably promised that at United. He put in a pretty good first season, a bit more of a deeper role than he did in his later years at United. And as far as I was concerned, I thought it was good built. It's a good stepping stone, natural progression. He's had a very good first season. Second season, he started brilliantly and then tailed off from there, and everything just seems to have been despair and sort of, quotes off his agent. I don't want to be here. I want to leave. I want to do this. I love Pogba, and I'll be the first to admit it, even though I've just been on this entire tirade about Pogba, but I'm just sick to death of talking about him. Just cut your losses and just get rid. Invest in another area and just let Paul Pogba go to a team where he'll be happy, where United will be happy. We can stop talking about him every game that we lose, every game that he's not featured in, every game that we win, because, it's more of a team sport than it being just focused on one player. I feel like Neymar at PSG is sort of the same, in that he's got this superstar aura about him. The club is Neymar FC. This isn't Pogba FC. It's Man United, for God's sake. If he don't want to be here, don't let him be here. Just let him be out. According to Ollie, they play the same role. Well, they don't. It's as simple as that. Don't. Both midfielders. So yeah, I feel like there you go. He's a leader at Villa, without doubt. Their best player, very comfortable on the ball. Yeah, simple as that. With Grealish, he is a leader. He is one of those players that will drag players through the mud. You look at new players now, Henderson as well as another one at Sheffield United. I feel like we need to get that current crop of just leaders with talent through. If we got Henderson at the back and you had Grealish in the midfield and you had Rashford up front, I feel like there is a pretty good young spine to a side that you can start adding talent to in the other areas around it that could probably make a pretty good team. So yeah, I feel that's all today with Paper Talk. Just to round up quick, Grealish might be on his way in. Pogba's probably on his way out. Erling Haaland says that he didn't come to United not because of financial reasons. He just didn't want to come to United and he went to Dortmund. So yeah, anyway, I've been Adam. See you in a bit.